Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College Application and Website Development, or AWD program, and in particular, the AWD1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class, I've been going over this series of 12 articles entitled ASP.NET MVC5 Free Course from DotNetOdyessy. So far, I have gone through the first 9 lessons. An intro, building our first app, views in Razor, layout, model, entity framework, CSS and Twitter Bootstrap, setting up the micro IMDb v2 application, and data modeling. So I'm in the home stretch, so to speak, and I'm halfway done with the chapter 10. So I'm going into the beginning of CRUD, or create, read, update, delete operations. From there, as you can see, we'll go on to validate and the UD part of CRUD. All right, so we are in the middle, like I said, of lesson 10, and they're talking about the view here. It says in the view, we have to create a couple of text input HTML elements to get the input from the user and a submit button to submit the data to the server. It says below HTML snippet would create the element for us. But instead of writing that, what we can use instead is what's referred to as an HTML helper. Now, it may not look like there's a lot of difference between these, and actually it does. But there are advantages to using helpers that are mentioned on the bottom of page 5 of this chapter and the top of page 6. All right. It says when we use the HTML helper like this right here represents what's called a Lambda expression. All right. It says this is what we want for our input or whatever, and this is where we're going to put it. All right. It generates the ID and name attributes, as it says, from the model information. Compile time safety. When you use incorrect properties, so when you make mistakes, it'll tell you that you can't go on, and that's a good thing. You shouldn't go on as long as you're doing something incorrectly. It's flexible. In the above example, we're passing HTML attributes to the helpers so they can use them. As class is a reserved word in C#, we use @class to pass the CSS class for the HTML element. Finally, it results in less code, and the code that it results in is cleaner. As mentioned there, usually HTML helpers have less code. If you can do something with less code and it's cleaner, it's preferred. It's less code to have to test. It's less code that could break down. So shown below here is the complete code for the add view. It says you can see that I've used a few HTML helpers. All right. We're also using the using keyword, so we can put stuff that seems to belong together. So this is what will go into the add view. We don't want those numbers. Well, that's interesting. All right. We have to actually create this view, so we right mouse click, add view. All right, add. I don't know if it tells us what we should use here. Well, I'm going to leave it the way it is. I don't know if that's correct or not, but we'll put that like that. Okay. And it says that we're going to put our form stuff in here. Now we're getting this error, I believe, if we take our mouse. Let's see. It says predefined type system object is not defined or imported. The name viewBag, well, that went away. How's that? So let's go in here and we will grab this. And we may get an error from this stuff. I don't know. Let's see. Using div. That's our form stuff. I don't believe we need any of this. I think we should just start it with that. And we're getting that error because that should be a lowercase v, and it is case sensitive. All right. Now, a couple things to note here, as mentioned on page 7. We have used the below code as the first line, so this model statement that's right here, the one in blue, we are telling the view that the model of type movie is going to be passed in. Then we can use that movie model in our HTML helpers, as we've done. Ideally now, and we'll see, let's save this. Let's right mouse click on add and choose view in browser. I'm hoping we don't get an error here. If we are, I'm kind of dead in the water right now, but I'm hoping that it comes up. And it shows a screen for add movie. Again, if for some reason I get an error here, I'm not going to worry about it because I am going to redo this with the class during the first week of class. All right, it's still loading. Great. It says here title 2. So ours probably just says title, but I'm not positive. Try and remove that. May not help, may help, I don't know. Now a little trick for you, because what we've changed is a CS/HTML file, not a CS file. So not a code file, all right, but a file that we're using that's a combination of C# and HTML. Since that's what we've changed, I can do a file, save all. I should be able to go back to our code and just press the reload button. Now I still may have an error in here. There we go. Fantastic. This is the same thing that's shown on page 8 of our chapter. Notice that we're getting a 0 in the year element, year input element, and that's because it's of type int. All right, we still have our application name as application name, so we're going to change this right here, right now. What we are told to do, and we will do it in a second. All right, what we are told to do in here is to open up, so I can close this now. We are told to come in here and find our underscore layout file, which is right here. And we want to change this application name that's in there. Instead of this, we want it to say micro IMDB-v2. All right, and for the controller name, we don't even have a home controller. All right, so let's change that as well. So this will be the name of our application. This will be the default method that's called, and index is fine. This will be the default controller that we'll use, which is movie. All right, file, save all. Again, it's a CSHTML file, so my hope is I can come back here again. Oh, I closed it. Not a problem. And I can come back. Let's go to our index file. Let's go to our ad, and let's view it. So notice it now says micro IMDB v2. Okay? All right. Finally, bottom of page 9 and going on to pages 10 and 11. Applications would be useless if we couldn't save data. All right, so let's save the data, the information back into the database. All right, and the way we're told to do that, jump down, we've got all this done, we've done all this, is right here. Notice this will be a post. Post implies we are changing the underlying data, which is what we're doing here. So, copy all this. Back to our program here. Let's go back to our movie controller. There was our get. And again, the word get that you saw up there was redundant. We don't have to put it in. Many people do so they can show the difference between the get and the post. But now notice what we're doing. We're telling it to add that information and save the changes. So we're saving the model and the values that we get from the submitted form. All right. Turning up to page, in fact, let's do a file save all. And as the author points out here, there are a few things, excuse me, there are a few things to note right here. All right. Number one, we are not getting each element value from the submitted form. We're getting all the values bundled up together in the model package. Number two, with respect to saving database data, we're not writing an insert query. We're just calling the add method to add the object as it says to the DB context in memory and mark it with a flag as added. Then we call save changes so that all of the unsaved changes are added to the database. Entity framework generates the insert query for us. Finally, we're calling a redirect to action method, which says after we've done and written it off, bring us right back to where we were. All right, let's try it and see. No idea whether or not this is going to work. Kind of what makes this fun. So, the Shawshank Redemption. I think I spelled that correctly. And 1994. Add movie. All right, we're getting an error message. Says the resource we were looking for could have moved, had its name changed, or is temporarily unavailable. Doesn't like something. We requested the add, but it doesn't like it. It says on page 11 that it should have saved it. So, it says something is wrong. Had we come back in here and not done this, it would have had 0. Okay, it would have had a 0 in there for the default year. And the reason for that, I'm still going to get an error here, would have been there's no validation that's being done right now. In the next chapter, we'll do validation. Now it says the resource we're looking for is unavailable. We add. Okay. It is giving us some problems. And this is with the stuff that I did before. Not sure what the problem is. It's that repos file. Doggone it. That's on me. I can still go through everything that's left to show you what's going on. But there will be some problems. Okay? All right. So I believe I'm done with the first 10 lessons. That will get us to lesson 11, which is on validation. A little bit longer lesson than this one. All right, but it's number 11 of 12. We will be going over that shortly.